It's fair to say that this episode of Sports OV Topics is going to be a odd one, to say the least, as all of the rule changes to go over now in the NFL has drawn some mixed opinions and mixed feedback, certainly from fans. But we'll go over those rule changes as far as we go in this video, and we'll discuss them, give our thoughts. March Madness. It has been a joy thus far, and here we shall preview crazy how it comes and goes, but Sweet 16, we're here for it, as it happens on Thursday and Friday. Those 8 matchups. Excuse me. To determine the final 8 left standing, and they're on 4. And so forth. We shall go over, preview those matchups from Thursday and Friday. Saturday, the UFL starts with 2 games. So, for those who have been missing pro football and spring football nonetheless, we will see it again this weekend. So, some things to talk about on the show, but of course, before I gotta thank everyone. Thank you all thank you for tuning to the video. Subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. But yeah, thank you guys all, and let's all get into the schnaz and everything to go over. Start with the news now, shall we? So, we are now down to the Sweet 16. You know, it was a joy going into the 21st of March last week, and now it is the 26th as I'm recording this. And a lot of game action has transpired in just these last 5 days, and now we're down to 16. So the final 4 in the East. So UConn, they have certainly looked like the reigning champions and looking to go back to back in the NCAA men's bracket, as they solemnly passed Stetson and then Northwestern. But we're setting up a rematch. Before they can repeat, they have to beat the team, or go through the team they went through in the first place to win the national championship last year in San Diego State. They took their fair share as they beat UAB and Yale on the way to get here. Now, certainly size up in competition as they face UConn for the right to go to the semi-final in the East. Or I should say a final. But as far as the other semifinal goes, a matchup I think many saw coming. Illinois, the winner of Big Ten, taking on Iowa State, the winner of Big 12. Or the winner of their conference tournament. But nonetheless, so Illinois, they went through Morehead State, and then the Quins, I apologize if I got the name wrong. They're the first team that busted my bracket. So, but nonetheless, Illinois went past both those teams. Iowa State, a similar road as they took past South Dakota State, and then in a fun matchup against Washington State, ultimately Iowa State pulled out, and we'll see. Illinois versus Iowa State. As far as the West, so as far as the semis, so we got Illinois, Iowa State right. UConn, I got right, but San Diego State, I thought Auburn was going to beat. They couldn't even get past Yale. So, there's that. That's the beauty. So, then let's go to the West. UNC, the team I picked to win it all, according to this bracket I filled out, or at least penciled out. UNC, they got past Wagner, who had to win a Final Four game to get in, but they did their job. And then Michigan State put up a fight as long as they could, but unfortunately UNC just poured it on and advanced here to the Sweet 16. They go up against Alabama, who beat Charleston, and then Grand Canyon on the way here. Although Grand Canyon did about as good a job as they could have done up until the final number of minutes in the second half, and then Alabama just pulled away. But yeah, UNC versus Alabama, certainly quite expected. Then we got another interesting semi in the West, as we got Clemson versus Arizona, the number 6 seed. Clemson versus Arizona. Clemson beat New Mexico. I'm still feeling that. Clemson beat New Mexico, and then Baylor in a bit of a surprise and a fun game after pouring it on New Mexico. And Arizona, they beat LBSU, and then beat a Dayton team that's theory survived out of the first round. Survived after a big comeback against Nevada, but then could not get past Arizona. There was not a bad upset for Arizona here as they will gear past the semifinals in the West and take on Clemson. Interesting matchup. Now let's go to the South. Houston versus Duke. That is a fun matchup to look forward to. Houston took care of Longwood in their journey together, and then credit to A&M. Credit to A&M. They took it to overtime against Houston, but ultimately it came down to just a few shots, and then momentum swings, and Houston pulled away against A&M, but fair share by the Aggies. Duke, gotta give them credit. They beat a game. Well, first off, they beat Vermont, and then they beat a game, James Madison, to get there. But Houston versus Duke is going to be fun. Now, part of the fun of March Madness is the Cinderella stories. And while we did get some upsets in the first round, most notably, Yale versus Auburn, Oakland over Kentucky. Right now, there's only one double-digit seed left and into the Sweet 16. That would be NC State, which right now hasn't been playing about as good as anybody. NC State behind TJ Burns, who's a stud at forward. Almost 300 pounds and 6'9", has been a stud for them thus far. And, winning the ACC, and now as a 10th seed, and now they're 11th seed. They beat Texas Tech, and then they beat Oakland in overtime in a fun one. Now they draw a tough test in Marquette. It's going to be interesting to see how the ride goes forward. Marquette, took care of Western Kentucky, and then Colorado gave Marquette all they could handle. But Marquette moves past to face NC State and Unique. Purdue versus Gonzaga. I don't think people will be complaining. Purdue versus Gonzaga. I mean, what more can you say? Purdue has certainly felt like a 1 seed. Certainly not as dominant, I would say, as UConn, but still they have done their job being Grambling, being Utah State. But Gonzaga will certainly have something to say, as not only they beat McNeese, but in the second half versus Kansas, now, credit. Kansas was without Kevin McCullough Jr. and Hunter Dickinson. He didn't seem all there 100%, but nonetheless, what job for Gonzaga to just, make Kansas look pedestrian, really, in the second half. That's a hell of a job by Gonzaga. And the Zags going against Purdue. It's going to be interesting. And then the final of the region semifinals, we got Creighton versus Tennessee. This is no slouch matchup as well. I mean, Creighton, they beat Akron, and decent matchup, but then they took on Oregon, and in overtime, they turned out to be the more conditioned team in the end, and wound up getting it done against the Ducks, and we'll see against the Vols, who took care of St. Peter's, and then against Texas was a little bit of was a good amount of scare, but the Vols pulled ahead, and we'll see. Creighton versus Tennessee. But if I have to predict right now, because, bracket was already busted, although I did a fair job, but if I have to predict, so I'm going to say UConn moves past San Diego State. I'm going to say Illinois moves past Iowa State, because then I'll at least feel better about myself when it comes to the bracket. So yeah, those will be how I think. UNC over Alabama. Clemson, Arizona. I hate to say it, but I'm going to go Clemson over Arizona. And then, we get to ACC matchup in the finals of the West. Certainly they would be happy out of that. South Bowl, was I wrong? But, Houston versus Duke, this is going to be fun. I'm going to go Houston. And then I'm going to say NC State continues the path. And then we got Houston versus NC State for the South. As for the Midwest, Purdue versus Gonzaga. It's going to be fun. I'm going to go with Purdue. And then Creighton versus Tennessee. I'm going to say Creighton. So then we got Purdue versus Creighton for the Midwest. So, interesting to look forward to. But that's the prediction for this week. So, the UFL starts this Saturday. Good to see. So, let's go over quickly. So, we have 4 matchups to look forward to this weekend. So, got the Birmingham Stallions versus Arlington Renegades. Followed by St. Louis Battlehawks versus the Michigan Panthers. And on Sunday, DC Defenders for San Antonio Brahmas versus the Memphis, and then Memphis Showboats versus Houston Roughnecks. First of all, certainly sound like the XFL names are still in full force, so yeah. But yeah, Spring football is here. We got 4 games to look forward to this weekend. So, right there. Before I get into the rule changes, my thoughts. I want to give my thoughts on a few things. So first of all, thoughts and prayers out to the family of Peter Angelos, the former owner of the Baltimore Orioles, passed away at 94 the other day. Thoughts and prayers out to his family and friends. He purchased it back in purchased the Orioles back in 93 for $173 million, and then ultimately his relationship did not pan out over time, but ultimately turned them into a $1.725 billion deal when they were sold in January. So I mean, kudos to him. But yeah, thoughts and prayers out to the family. Cordero Patterson. This is ironic because of one of the rule changes. So Cordero Patterson was reported that he has signed a 2-year deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pretty interesting. Patterson, again, it's great to see. He's been nothing short of a Swiss Army knife. You know, I was seeing one of the pictures reports of last year where he's basically listed as a weapon or X on the depth chart of the Falcons. And while it's true, he's like an X factor. I mean, so crazy to see a player's journey. Is like the way he started with the Vikings, was a receiver that also was really good at returning kicks. And then, you know, we saw a little bit when he was with the Patriots, you know, more utilizing his skill set, you know, with running the ball and receiving. And then, but with the Falcons, it really felt like, okay, you know, running the ball well, you know, gadget plays, and so on and so forth. And now it goes to the Steelers. Certainly a unique move, I would say, but we'll see if they see something in him to utilize him. And he reunites with his former offense coordinator or former head coach Arthur Smith with the Falcons. Now he's the offense coordinator in Pittsburgh. So I'm sure he'll have something to say or ways to utilize him. And Pittsburgh, whether it's Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, or someone else, you know, it's another potential weapon to have on offense or on the team. Tre'Davious White, the former star quarterback of the Bills, has now been signed to the Rams to a 1 year, $8.5 million deal. Unique move. I mean, clearly it was a bit of a shocker, but non-shocker or non-surprise when the Bills release a number of starters early in free agency. He was on the list. But with his injury issues the last couple of seasons, and with how Rasul Douglas, after they traded for him last year, really fit right in to the mold, and secondary certainly continue on with the newer and younger fellows of the Buffalo, move that kind of had to be made, but also interesting for the Rams, 1 year deal. I keep saying it's like a prove it deal, and of course for a few seasons, they had Jalen Ramsey, but even before, when they had Tremaine Johnson and Jack Rabbit, Janoris Jenkins for a bit, when he was a stout corner. Now they moved to potentially with Jalen Ramsey gone now in Miami after one season. Now we'll see as how White lands in LA, because Noah Aaron Donald as well retired now, so it's certainly going to be key to look at that secondary as well. But Ahkello Witherspoon had a very good season last year, so we'll see. Now let's talk about the changes, the rule changes. So, okay, these have had certain pushback, and I understand both sides. Let's talk about this. So, the NFL, want to get this right. So, the NFL has reportedly outlawed or pretty much banned the hip drop tackle. So they said they'll make it a 15-yard penalty and automatic first down. And here's a description. So, if the defender grabs the runner with both hands and wraps the runner with both arms and unweights himself by swiveling and dropping his hips and or lower body, landing on and trapping the runner's legs at or below the knee. So, on one hand, I do absolutely get it, because let's face the facts. So, fact is, 2 years ago in the playoffs, Tony Pollard broke his leg against the 49ers on that kind of tackle. And then same for for Tyler Boyd in the AFC Championship against the Chiefs right after that, pretty much 2 years ago. And then let's look at last year. Mark Andrews against the Bengals has that bad ankle issue and is out for the rest of the season and does not play until the Ravens play the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, which ultimately they lost. But nonetheless, I see a fair point because at the end of the day, the NFL trying to find that fine line between being safe and playing full throttle football being actually football. On the other hand, I can see the pushback because, let's face it, the NFL has, for a number of years now, has really put into effect, rules for defense or rules against defense. I mean, let's face it, we say it many times, not just me, but others. It's hard to play defense now in the NFL. It's just hard. So many penalties. And when I saw a report the other day floating around on social media saying that the NFL is displeased with the lack of scoring, or decrease going from 49 points a game a few years ago to now 43. I mean, look, I get it. If you're a casual fan or so, not a big, true, hardcore fan, the high-scoring game is going to appease you more than a low-scoring game. I get it. And in a way that's more exciting. But at the end of the day, when you see, because people have been, more and more I've seen, people have been really displeased with how they see calls that are iffy in the NFL nowadays. And all it does is help out the offense. I mean, if anything, the Super Bowl, compared this year to a few years ago, it doesn't really feel the same in a way because of the rule changes and, the offense. It's just a thing in people's heads that, annoys people. And I get from both sides. The other rule. So, why did I say it was ironic that Cordell Patterson news of signing today? Because a kickoff rule And we know the NFL has been trying to limit injuries on kickoffs, but still encourage kickoffs ultimately. And it's been a weird approach, no running starts, the onside kick. Now the rule that you can't surprise onside kick. But here's the description as I'm reading off. So, under the new kickoff rules, the kick and return teams will line up on the receiving team's 40 and 35 yard lines, respectively, and cannot leave until the ball is touched or reached the landing zone. 20-yard line to the goal line. And here's the other part. So we know that kicks out of bounds go to 40. So it says here, as far as touchbacks, if the ball is kicked into the end zone, the receiving team gets it at the 30. Okay. If the ball is kicked into the landing zone and rolls into the end zone, hence the 20 to the goal line. If it rolls, the receiving team gets it at the 20. And it says that if the kick does not reach the landing zone, will be treated as out of bounds, meaning the offense will start at the 40-yard line. So, in a way, reading from that rule, it basically says, if the ball hits at like the 25 or in between the 25 and the 20, if it's down there, or if no one gets it, then someone gets it at the 40. I mean, that's what, 20, 15 yards? I mean, with the fair catch rule, I mean, it's like, seriously, it's like on one hand, you get it. I get it, you're trying to limit injuries, but on the other hand, there's other ways. And another thing is, the NFL should take a look at, if you can't surprise onside kick anymore, they should look at an alternative than an onside kick. Because, honestly, even with you could surprise it this year, we saw that it was very slim to none. And if you want to make games more exciting, then I think an alternative that would probably, since these people are so into analytics these days, the analytics would probably be higher up for a 10-yard play that they have to run on offense, as opposed to an onside kick that you can't surprise people anymore. It's But you guys get my point. Anyways, hope you guys enjoy this. Appreciate it for joining me. If you did, of course, subscribe, leave a like, leave a thumbs up. Thank you guys all. Hope you enjoy Sweet 16, UFL, all of that's considered. But thank you, and we'll see you guys next time. Adios and peace.